Hello, mighty warriors, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Alicia, and I want to share with you what I learned this weekend in Sunday services um, at church at Abundant Life, which is a church that I go to. Um, Pastor Phil has written a book called Living Your Love Story, and it is a deep dive into the Song of Songs, which was written by Solomon. And this particular book of the Bible is all about love. It's all about relationships. It's all about marriage. It's all about how to conduct yourself in a budding relationship. It deals with sex. It deals with intimacy. Um, and, if I had this particular Bible study 20 years ago, my life would probably be completely different, but that's neither here nor there. I want to talk to you about a subject matter that was truly enlightening this weekend. And in this particular chapter, chapter 2 of Song of Songs, um, it starts to delve into the relationship between Solomon, who represents Jesus, and the Shulamite woman, which represents his bride to be. And how in this particular chapter, things are starting to get heated up. Okay. And the woman, she's professing, all of her desires for this man, for her soon to be husband. And Solomon, who is the wisest man that ever lived, he pumps the brakes. He's like, no, wait, we got to stop. And this is important because the next part that the pastor talked about was profound. Okay. So, did you know that women, when they are in a intimate situation, we'll just put it that way, with their husband, that they literally have a hormone, they release 10 times more oxytocin than a man does. 10 times the oxytocin, which is a very strong bonding hormone. And also, what we learned is that when Solomon stops the Shulamite woman and he says to her, let's not stir up passion before it's time. That what he is doing is he's trying to protect her. Because did you know that when you are engaging in intimate relationships, that you are actually causing a change to your brain? And when your brain has been overstimulated by so many different things that you've been seeing or being participating with or dating different people or just engaged in different types of sexual immorality because you did not wait to get married, that you are literally trading your lack of patience, you're trading your pleasure for impatience, if that makes sense. Okay. What the pastor was saying is that the enemy has a way of starting young with us to get us to chase after these passions. But just like a drug addict, the more that you get, the more that you need to be stimulated. But marriage was meant for two people to discover with each other throughout a lifetime. But when you have been overstimulated in your love life by different people, by different relationships, by jumping in and out of bed with different individuals, once you actually find the person that you want to marry and settle down with, it becomes hard for that one person to satisfy you because you've done it all, you've seen it all, you've witnessed it all, and now that person is not enough. You didn't discover things together. You didn't discover those intimate things with your spouse. Also, intimacy is not just a feeling. It's about discovering a person and who they are on the inside, who they are in their soul. And so when you do this incorrectly, when you disobey God, God's really just looking out for you when he's telling you that you sin against your own body when you engage in all this sexual immorality. Because what happens is you are searing your brain. You're searing your brain, and now nothing can satisfy you. And now the person that you love so much, no matter what they do, they can't satisfy you. And this is where you end up having people looking outside of their marriage, and then they blow their whole lives up, and it's a continual cycle of them chasing after these feelings. And it's not about the feeling, it's about the intimacy that you get with one person as you go deeper and deeper into who they are and learning who they are and knowing who they are. And this was a very profound lesson this Sunday, because I think anyone who has ever been in a relationship does realize that there's something going on in your brain that you can't quite understand, right? And for women, you know that you are always, immensely bonded to, the man that you're with. And it makes sense that men don't seem to be as bonded. They're not giving off as much of that bonding agent as the women are. So it was an incredible lesson. So this particular sermon is available online. His name is Pastor Phil, and the book is called Living Your Love Story. And it is available on Amazon. And it just opened my eyes to what God really meant, or maybe another meaning of what he meant by when he says you sin against your own body. Because I always thought it meant, when you sin against your own body, what he means is you're going to bring yourself to an early end, because the wages of sin equals death. And I believe that's true. But I also did not look at it in a way where you're actually harming the way that you look at intimacy. You're harming the way that you look at this type of love, so that you won't be able to feel it with the person that you really should be feeling it with, because of your mishandling of it. Your mishandling of it. And a lot of it is the enemy. He starts us off early. We watch these teeny bopper tween shows where people are crushing on each other, and it's always like, they're always trying to raise passions in you at a young age. And the next thing you know, you're watching these movies, girl finds boy, boy finds girl, they fall in love. And, and then you keep kind of going to different levels, chasing this passion from these films or from these movies or from this music, where it's stirring up your passions. And then, by the time you get into a real relationship, you are, you're gone, because you've been chasing these things. The enemy has got us chasing these passionate feelings way before their time. And it causes dysfunction in our relationships, because then nobody can live up to the standards of what is in someone's mind. It's crazy. Get the book, okay? If you have a daughter or you have a teenager, get them the book, okay? I was one of those people when I was young that nobody told me anything about anything. I went to college completely dumb about the topic of relationships. I do not recommend you do that to your children, because then your kid is going to have to figure it out for themselves, or they're going to get information from friends, and it's going to be very bad and very much incorrect. Teach your children how to engage properly, what to look for, what to not be ashamed to look for. It's not a shameful thing for a girl to look for someone who has a plan for their life. Girls are being taught that because you want a man with a plan, that you are a gold digger. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Because a woman should be very, very protective of who she goes with, of who she becomes married to, because that woman is going to have to submit to that man. If he is angry, if he doesn't have a vision for his life, if he is, you know, just charming for a moment, but that's not who he really is, teach your daughters and your children teach your daughters to look past the charm and get to the real. And boys too. One of the scriptures that Pastor went over was charm is deceitful and beauty is fleeting. You know, a lot of men get caught up and turned around and flipped upside down over a girl's beauty, but she is not a mother material. She's not mother material. She's not someone who could care for a family. She has no business with a child. And so it's just important that we teach our kids and give them a framework and a guide on how to make these decisions, because we can't send them out into the world with no information and expect them to make good decisions. Okay? We just can't. It's setting them up to fail, which I feel I was very much set up to fail in my life. I was sent out into a very, very complicated world at my age. I went to college in the 90s, late 90s, 2000s, and I had no clue what was going on. None. And I got to school, I got to college, and, you know, I got my heart ripped out of me and I got taken advantage of and I got mistreated. And, you know, some of it I was able to see, and some of it, you know, they were able to outsmart me, you know? So anyway, I don't want to go all into my sob story, but get the book, buy a few, give it to your nieces, your nephews for their sweet 16. Talk to them about it. Read it with them. You won't regret it. They won't regret it. And they will be so grateful you did. Until next time, signing off.